The moment you pull away, everything shifts. It's not just your absence that gets to her, it's the profound impact of the void you leave behind. When a high-value man disappears, the silence speaks louder than any words ever could. She begins to feel a whirlwind of emotions she never anticipated, feelings that will forever alter her perception of you. Today, we're diving into the 8 powerful emotions she experiences when you simply vanish. These aren't just fleeting thoughts. They are deep, life-altering realizations that will make her see you in a way she never has before. 1. The shock of silence. The first realization she faces when you disappear is a profound shock. However, this isn't the kind of shock that fades after a few hours or days. It's a deep, all-encompassing realization that her life has taken an unexpected turn, one she never saw coming. It's that moment when the air feels thick and everything around her seems unnaturally quiet. You see, your presence in her life wasn't just a passing occurrence. Whether she admitted it or not, it was something she relied on, perhaps even more than she ever realized. Consider the routine interactions she had come to cherish, the sound of her phone lighting up with your messages, the way your name would brighten her notifications, and the anticipation of your next call or text. All of that in an instant disappears. This sudden silence, the silence that follows your disappearance, hits her the hardest. It transcends mere absence. It signifies the loss of connection, validation, and the comforting presence of someone who made her feel seen and valued. Initially, she might tell herself it's no big deal. Maybe you're just busy with work or dealing with personal matters, or perhaps there's a perfectly good reason for your sudden quietness. But as time goes on, the harsh reality sinks in. You've really disappeared, and she wasn't prepared for it. This is the first emotion that catches her off guard, a shock stemming from the realization that your absence might not be temporary. This initial moment sets the tone for everything else to follow. The silence acts as a mirror, reflecting back to her just how much your presence meant to her, even if she didn't acknowledge it at the time. This shock is profound because it disrupts her sense of normalcy. Suddenly, her world feels a little less stable, a little more uncertain. She might try to distract herself with work, hobbies, or social outings, but the empty spaces you once filled become impossible to ignore. Every time her phone stays silent when she expected to hear from you, every moment that passes without your presence, that shock deepens. It's the kind of jolt that lingers, forcing her to confront the reality of the situation. You are gone, and she wasn't emotionally prepared for this void. 2. The craving for validation. Did she matter to you? Once the shock of your disappearance fades, another emotion takes its place, one that's equally powerful, the craving for validation. This isn't just a fleeting thought. It's a deep, nagging need to know that she mattered to you. When you were actively present in her life, whether she recognized it or not, you provided her with a sense of validation. Your attention, your interest, your energy, all of these signals indicated that she was important to someone. But when you disappear, all of that is taken away in an instant. Now she finds herself questioning her worth. Did I really matter to him? Was I important, or was I just another option? This need for validation consumes her thoughts, and it's not something she can easily shake off. The absence of your attention causes her to doubt herself, and the security she once felt begins to crumble. Your presence, which used to offer her comfort and reassurance, has vanished, leaving her scrambling to fill the gaping void. At this point, she may resort to checking her phone constantly, hoping to see a missed message from you. Perhaps she even finds herself stalking your social media, trying to decode your life and figure out why you're no longer reaching out. She seeks signs that you still care, even if they're small or indirect. In her mind, she's on a quest for proof that she still holds some significance in your life. But here's the catch. Your silence only amplifies her insecurities. The longer you stay away, the more she craves that validation, and the more desperate her search becomes. This is also when she might start reaching out in subtle ways, perhaps liking a few of your old posts or sending a casual message just to see if you'll respond. She's trying to reopen the door, trying to gauge where she stands in your world. But if you remain distant, if you continue to hold firm in your silence, that craving for validation becomes all-consuming. It's like an itch she can't scratch, a gnawing feeling that she's lost something precious, something she can't quite put her finger on. This craving isn't just about you. It's about her deep-rooted need to feel valued, to know she made an impact on your life. And when you disappear, that need morphs into a powerful force that she can't ignore. 3. The rise of doubt. Did she make the right choices? Following the craving for validation comes something even more unsettling: doubt. This is where her emotional landscape begins to spiral. Your disappearance forces her to question everything about the relationship. She starts doubting the choices she made, the things she said, and the way she acted. Every conversation she shared with you begins to replay in her mind, and she meticulously picks apart every word, every gesture, and every moment to figure out where it all went wrong. Did I push him away? Was I too distant? Did I say something I shouldn't have? These questions flood her mind, and they don't just come in waves. They linger, gnawing at her sense of security. Doubt is a powerful emotion because it erodes her confidence. What once seemed like certainty now feels fragile, breakable. She starts to see all the little things she could have done differently. Maybe she should have been more vulnerable, opened up more, or been more responsive to your needs. Every interaction between you becomes a puzzle she's trying to solve. But the problem is, she doesn't have all the pieces. You're not there to clarify things or offer explanations, and that absence drives her doubt even deeper. This is the stage where she questions not only her actions, but also her understanding of the relationship itself. Did she even know what was happening between the two of you? Was she really as in control of the situation as she thought? Doubt makes her realize that perhaps, just perhaps, she didn't understand you as well as she believed, and that realization is both unsettling and terrifying. Doubt feeds off your silence. The longer you remain distant, the more she doubts herself, her actions, and even her perception of reality. This internal questioning begins to chip away at her sense of self, and as doubt grows, so does her desire to resolve the situation. But without you there to explain or clarify, she's left spinning in circles, unsure of where to go or what to do next. 4. The feeling of rejection. You chose to walk away. Rejection is one of the most painful emotions a person can feel, and when you disappear, she feels it acutely. Your absence isn't just a random event, it's a decision you made. You chose to walk away, to pull back, and that choice feels like a direct rejection of her, even if that wasn't your intention. Even if things weren't perfect between the two of you, even if there were signs that the relationship was rocky, the fact that you made the decision to leave stings deeply. It's one thing for a relationship to fade naturally or for both parties to drift apart, but when one person actively chooses to disappear, it leaves the other person questioning their worth. Why wasn't I good enough for him to stay? What did I do wrong? These are the questions that start swirling in her mind, creating a storm of self-doubt. Rejection feels personal, even when it's not meant to be. It makes her feel like she wasn't enough, that something about her wasn't worth sticking around for. What makes rejection so powerful is that it taps into a primal fear we all share, the fear of not being loved, of not being valued. And in your silence, she feels that fear come to life. She starts to believe that your absence is a reflection of her shortcomings, her flaws, and because she can't hear your side of the story, she's left to fill in the blanks in her mind. The narrative becomes one where she wasn't worthy of your attention or affection. But here's the kicker. Rejection doesn't just hurt. It motivates. It pushes her to prove herself, to win back your attention, to show you that she is worth it. This is when she might start reaching out more, trying to reconnect, trying to show you that she's changed or that things can be different. Rejection is painful, yes, but it also drives people to take action, to fight for what they believe they've lost. In your absence, that's exactly what she feels, the sting of rejection and the burning need to do something about it. 5. The guilt that follows. Could she have done more? Once she processes the rejection, another complex emotion surfaces: guilt. This is when she begins to take responsibility for your disappearance, even if the circumstances weren't entirely her fault. Guilt is tricky because it convinces her that she had more control over the situation than she truly did. She begins to ask herself, what could I have done differently? Could I have been more supportive? Did I push him away without realizing it? Guilt can be consuming. She starts to replay every interaction, every conversation, searching for clues or moments when she might have messed up. Was there something she said that pushed you away? Did she come across as too distant or too demanding? As she reflects, the blame starts to shift towards herself, and the weight of that guilt becomes heavy. It's not just about losing you anymore, it's about feeling responsible for driving you away. What makes guilt so powerful is that it forces her to confront her own behavior. She may have convinced herself that she did everything right, but now, in your absence, she's beginning to see the cracks. She recognizes the moments where she could have been more vulnerable or where she let her guard down too quickly. Guilt brings a harsh spotlight to these moments and doesn't let up. It lingers, making her question not just the relationship, but her ability to maintain any future connection. This guilt also fuels her desire to make amends. She wants to fix things, to prove that she's learned from her mistakes, and to show you that she can be better. But here's the thing, you're gone, and that makes her guilt even harder to bear because she has no outlet for it, no way to seek forgiveness or clear the air. Guilt eats away at her because she's stuck with it, unable to make things right, and that emotional burden grows heavier with every day of your absence. 6. The fear of being replaced. Is someone else taking her place? As guilt settles in, another fear begins to creep into her mind, the fear of being replaced. This is one of the most powerful and painful emotions she'll experience. When you disappear, she starts to imagine the possibility that you've already moved on, that someone else has taken her place in your life. Maybe it's another woman, or perhaps it's something else entirely, your career, your hobbies, or your newfound independence. Either way, the idea that she's been replaced gnaws at her constantly. This fear stems from the deep-seated need we all have to feel irreplaceable. When you were present in her life, she might have believed she was special to you, that there was something unique about your connection. But now that you've disappeared, that belief is shaken. She begins to wonder if she ever really mattered at all. If you can just walk away so easily, what's stopping you from finding someone else? This thought terrifies her. The fear of being replaced forces her to compare herself to others. She might start stalking your social media, searching for any clues, new friends, new women, anything that suggests someone else has stepped into her role. Every time she sees you enjoying your life without her, it feels like confirmation of her worst fears. You've moved on, and she's been left behind. This fear also drives her to question her own value. Was I not enough? Did he find someone better? These questions don't just haunt her, they tear her apart. The idea that someone else could be enjoying the attention, affection, and time that you once gave her is almost unbearable. It creates a sense of urgency, a desperate need to win you back before it's too late. But again, you're not there, and that absence only amplifies her fear of being replaced. 7. Regret. Wishing she could turn back time. Regret is one of the most painful emotions because it's rooted in the past, a past she can no longer change. Once the fear of being replaced sets in, regret follows closely behind. She starts to wish that she had handled things differently, that she had said or done the right things to keep you from disappearing. Regret forces her to look back at your relationship with a critical eye, and it makes her long for a chance to rewrite history. She'll start to wish she had been more open with you, more understanding, or more present. Every small mistake, every missed opportunity becomes magnified in her mind. Why didn't I see this coming? Why didn't I show him how much I cared when I had the chance? These are the kinds of thoughts that keep her awake at night, replaying every moment in her mind, searching for a solution that no longer exists. Regret is painful because it's tied to things she can't fix, and that helplessness makes it even worse. Regret also brings a sense of longing. She begins to miss the little things about you, the way you made her laugh, the way you listened, the way you supported her. The memories of your time together become bittersweet, filled with the weight of what could have been. She starts to realize that what she had with you was special, and the thought of never getting that back fills her with sorrow. The worst part about regret is that it's isolating. No matter how much she wishes she could change the past, she knows she can't. Without you there to talk to or make amends with, she's left alone with her thoughts, replaying every moment over and over again. Regret becomes a prison, trapping her in a cycle of what-ifs and lost possibilities, leaving her in a state of emotional limbo. 8. Growth. Learning from the experience. The final stage she reaches is growth. After enduring all the pain, reflecting on her feelings and finally accepting your absence, she starts to grow from the experience. She begins to understand that your disappearance wasn't just a loss, it was a lesson learned. She learns more about herself, about what she truly wants in a relationship, and about the importance of valuing the people in her life. Growth is a powerful stage because it's where she begins to rebuild. She takes the lessons learned from your absence and applies them to her future relationships. She might become more attentive, more appreciative, or more aware of the value that others bring into her life. In a way, your disappearance serves as a catalyst for her personal growth, forcing her to confront her own shortcomings and desires. This growth doesn't mean that she's over you completely, but it does signify that she's moving forward. She's taking the pain and transforming it into something meaningful, something that will shape her future in a positive way. She may find herself becoming more resilient, more understanding, and more compassionate toward herself and others. In the end, your disappearance wasn't just an ending. It became a turning point in her life, one that led her to become a stronger, more self-aware person. She realizes that while the experience was painful, it also opened her eyes to her own strength and capacity for growth. And with that newfound insight, she begins to embrace the future, ready to face new challenges and opportunities in a way she never could before. Subscribe to Stoic Lord for more insightful videos.